Hey, welcome. My name is JR and this is Trade Skillers Anonymous, and today we're going to do just a quick follow-up on a Q&A session that we had probably 2 weeks ago, and really want to first say thanks to everyone for participating. Had a great turnout and lasted a good bit longer than I think we expected. So out of that were a couple questions that I thought deserved just a little bit more detail, and that's my intention to go over today, which are really twofold: homing the machine and why that might be important to you, and then the proper way, or the way I prefer, is probably better said, to zero my work piece within that cutting envelope of the machine. So thanks for tuning in today. I appreciate it, and let's get started. Okay, now as you'll see with the router behind me, this is the ONEFINITY Journeyman. So right now the router is roughly, halfway in the machine space right now, and I have just turned it on. And the reason that I believe that homing the machine when it first wakes up is a good idea is that right now the machine thinks that it is at 0, because it just was rebooted and doesn't know where it's at. So what that means is you could manually, by using the joypad, move this machine around in such fashion that it wouldn't know when to stop. It doesn't know when it's at the very end, so it's going to keep trying to go in whatever direction you're commanding it. The same would be true as if you, instead of the joypad, use the touch screen over here, and even if you gave it MDI commands that commanded the machine to go to a certain position in space, if you put in the wrong number, you're going to try to push the machine past where it's physically able to go. So when your machine first wakes up after a restart, I'm going to zoom in on my screen here so that you can see, in the event that you don't have your machine yet, what you're going to be able to see is that there is right here a message to home the machine, and it's asking for an OK or a cancel. What that's going to do is it's going to put the machine into a mode where, and I don't think, maybe I'll do it and just speed it up. It's going to raise the Z all the way up. It's going to move the X carriage all the way to the left. Then it's going to come all the way to the front. And by doing so, what it's going to do, it's going to define its working envelope. Where is the furthest point that the router or spindle can reach? So I'm going to reach over to my screen, and I'm just going to hit OK. And we're going to fast forward through this because, this takes a second. Okay, so now before, when the machine first woke up and the router was in the middle of the table, none of this was green, and it thought it was at 0 before. Well, now the router is at the very front left corner, and because it has found its home position, this area has turned green. And the important part that relates to the machine and the machine alone is this column here that says state. And the X, Y, and the Z are now homed, so it knows where its maximum travel position is for all three of those axes. And X is left to right for those that haven't had a lot of time on a machine yet. Y is front to back, and the Z is the up and down travel of your spindle or your router. Okay, so now that the machine knows where its boundaries are, you need to establish where in your working envelope of your CNC machine does the work piece live. So I'll typically use something like these bench dogs, which I have mating holes drilled in my spoil board, push it in, move it over, and then lock it down through some method, whether it's double-sided tape, blue tape and CA glue, or actual clamps. Just depends on the job that you're doing. The next thing you need to do is tell the machine where this workpiece is, and that's called zeroing. And there are two generally accepted methods. And the first is one that I'm not a fan of, which is to take the bit, and a lot of people say that they use a really sharp V bit. Let me bring you in a little closer here so that you can see. So they will take the bit, which I have loaded in here, a 1/4 inch end mill, and they will bring this down to the workpiece, use some reference like the bottommost corner of the workpiece, and you would manually push home of the X and the Y, and then typically what I see people do is come over here, and then whether it's that they use a piece of paper or just bring the machine down till it's just making contact with the top of the workpiece, and I'm just spinning the bit to see when I have contact. It's taking forever. There we go. Okay, so, you know, if that's the method I was using, then I would call that good. But that's not the method that I use. What I prefer to do is to use the touch probe that's offered by ONEFINITY. I forget the exact name of the company who makes this, Triquetra possibly. But it's, you know, precision piece. And so what it has are 2 legs on it machined into the block, so that you would put your workpiece or put your probing device in the corner of your workpiece. So these 2 walls here of this pocket are going to butt up against the edges of your workpiece, and then you attach a magnet to your collet of your router or spindle. And then there is I'll show this to the camera, there is a small circle here. Hopefully the camera will focus. There's a small circle right at this corner, and that's your aiming point where you want the bit to touch off at. So with this inserted, now my workpiece is not held down, but with that inserted in the bottom left corner, you can then bring the machine to somewhere, you know, I try to get it within 1/4 inch because it needs to be able to touch it. Then I'll use the micro adjust. Now with it positioned over this circle, I would simply touch on my controller of the ONEFINITY the probe X, Y, and Z, and we'll see what results we get with that. And the first thing we got to do is touch it just to ensure that we have a connection. We're going to say continue, and then we're going to tell it what size bit we have in the machine, which happens to be 1/4 inch in my case. So the first thing it's going to do is go down twice and touch the Z. Then it's going to come into the side and find its X coordinates. Going to touch it twice. Then it goes to the back, and it's going to find the Y coordinate. Okay, so we get a message from the machine to remember to take the probe off, which is great to remember. Now let's have a look at our controller and see what our results look like. All right, so coming over to our machine, we have in fact removed the probe, so I'm going to say done. And what you're going to notice here is that now everything is green. We have the state of the machine remained green and it is homed, but now this column here has now also turned green. Whoops. Has now also turned green. But if I haven't loaded a file yet to do the work that the current setup would accept, it could be that one of these may say maybe yellow. But when I load a piece of software or a G-code that is suitable for the parameters that the machine currently understands, As soon as I load that toolpath in there, any that were yellow or set over under, would then turn into the green OK. So probably the primary reason why I like to use the Z probe is for repeat accuracy. And what I mean by that is that I've had it where I've been running a job and lost power. And when you lose power, of course, the machine shuts down, you lose the machine home, but you also lose the project or the workpiece home. And if I was relying on, eyeballing the X and the Y, especially if I was using a 1/4 inch end mill and was going to try to resume that job, I really don't have any reason to believe that I'd be able to get that exactly back where it was. Whereas by using the touch probe, I have a reasonable confidence that I'm going to be able to find the workpiece 0 again, resume my job. Even if it means I have to start all the way at the beginning again, at least I'm going to be in the same reference point to the work that's already been done. And that's why I prefer to use the touch probe. The other thing that you can do, so if I'm cutting through, so I am either, let's just say I'm making a profile cut and I'm going to go all the way through the material. Oftentimes in my project file, what I will do, so there's two things that you can do when you're setting it up in your software. You can either zero your Z off the top of the work or from your machine bed. And I have found that in cases where it's right to do it, when I zero off of my machine bed, I get very little impression on my spoil board from where the cutter made it through the material. Whereas there have been times when I have zeroed off the surface of the workpiece and, I might get, 5 or 10 thousandths through my material. And that's usually that I didn't exactly measure the workpiece correctly. And as a result, the bit passed through the workpiece and down through my spoil board, which is no big deal by itself, but anytime you can limit the amount of wear that you put on your spoil board, just means you have to replace it less often, and I kind of like that. Okay, so in closing, what I would tell you is just these couple of little steps. When I started out with my CNC, I had an idea by watching some stuff. I didn't totally grasp it, so since this was, in fact, something that came up in our Q&A session, I thought I would just give just a little bit more detail. If you haven't had a CNC machine before, or you're about to get yours, or maybe you have it and you just haven't, started up yet, this could be valuable information for you. I hope that you, did get some value out of the video. I appreciate you stopping by with us and hope you have a great day. Take care.